on what green economy is? Right, anyway. So I asked my little nephew this morning what he thinks about green economy. And he did well. Then please give him a round of applause. All right. Thank you very much. Now let's do some real business. This afternoon, we have 4 distinguished guests who would help us delve into issues critically. The first on my list to sit at my immediate left is an expert from the Forest Services Division at the Forestry Commission. His name is Dr. John Appa. Please, a round of applause for him as he comes on stage. Please, let's do it better. Let's do it better for him. Yeah. So Dr. John Appa works with the Forestry Commission at the Plantations Department of the FSD. He is a seasoned professional with over 2 decades of experience in natural resource management, particularly in forest landscape restoration, nature-based climate change solutions, community-based alternative livelihood and enterprise development, and also project management. Please, a round of applause for him again. Yeah. May I please invite an expert from the National Youth Authority. Actually, he is the Deputy Chief Executive Officer in charge of operations and programs at the National Youth Authority. He goes by the name Alhaji Inusa Mahama. Please, a round of applause for him. Alhaji Mahama is a Ghanaian politician and lecturer at the Bolgatanga Technical University of Development Studies and is also a certified PMP professional. Since assuming office as Deputy CEO of the NYA, he has remained committed to advancing impactful programs and initiatives that empower young people across Ghana. He continues to work towards positioning NYA as a leading institution for youth development, innovation, and participation in national growth. Please, a round of applause for him again. Yeah. May I kindly also invite one expert whom I so much admire. He is the executive director and founder of Shent Afrique. He goes by the name Mr. Venan Sondo. Please, a round of applause for him as he comes on stage. Yeah. Venan Sondo is a Pan-African award-winning sustainability leader, environmentalist, and social innovator with over 2 decades of experience shaping strategies that drive positive change across Africa. He is the founder and chief servant at Shent Afrique, an organization dedicated to unlocking sustainable choices and building resilient communities through special transformative projects. He is passionate about empowering young leaders and entrepreneurs to see sustainability not as a challenge, but as an opportunity for innovation and growth. His work emphasizes inclusivity, community participation, and the belief that Africa's youth hold the key to advancing sustainable development goals and shaping a greener future for the continent. He has been recognized internationally as a Sustainability Thought Leader of the Year, honoring his role in pioneering projects such as NetCycle, which addresses marine plastic pollution through innovative recycling models. With a background spanning Europe and Africa, Venan combines global expertise with local insight, making him a leading voice in the movement to create sustainable, equitable, and future-proof African economies. That is rich, right? Please, a round of applause for him again. Someone just whispered to me to be careful not to be gender biased. So please rest assured, I definitely have women on this panel as well. Yeah, joining us from Nigeria is Mrs. Adedamola Ogutuga. Please, a round of applause for her as she comes. She is an environmental education officer with the Nigerian Conservation Foundation. She specializes in environmental education and community engagement with a strong focus on fostering awareness, knowledge, and action for sustainable development. Through her work, she promotes conservation values of environmental stewards. She's passionate about advancing climate action and nature conservation in Nigeria. Mrs. Ogutuga continues to play a key role in bridging knowledge and practice for a greener and more sustainable future. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for all my distinguished guests.
Is it on? Okay.
Okay. As we, hello? Please, can you hear me? Great. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Apologies for the technical hitches. You're welcome again, my distinguished guests, gentlemen and lady. Yeah. So this afternoon we are set to having an interesting conversation on the theme "Leaving No Youth Behind: Enhancing Awareness and Equitable Access to Institutional Opportunities along Green Economy and the Natural Resource Value Chain." To start off with Dr. Appa, since you are close to our natural capital in Ghana. Of course, you are in the Forestry Commission, and that means that you work mainly around issues of forestry, forests, and other related natural resource challenges or issues. Usually, there is this notion that there are lots of opportunities in the natural resource sector, in the green economy, in the natural resource value chain. But the challenge is youth do not really know how to assess those opportunities. In your own experience, we would want to learn from you, what do you think are the most promising entry points for youth in the natural resource arena, particularly in the value chain, from processing, harvesting, processing, sustainable management, and all of it?
Thank you very much, Albert. A warm welcome to all of you. I'm happy to see beautiful people across Africa, especially those who have crossed borders to be here. I think it's worthwhile, embarking on that journey. Albert, to your question, surprisingly, many people are of the negative perception that, nothing comes from the forest that is better. If you tell them that you are working in the forestry sector, they sometimes see you in quote as somebody who gets himself or herself dirty. Yes, because of beautiful people, if you are going back to nature, please, you're on the right path. Having said that, specifically for the forestry sector, there are a lot of opportunities, untapped opportunities. Why am I saying this? If you look at the downstream economy of the forestry sector, you can engage in enterprises like forestry, nursery development. Then you can also engage in plantation establishment. You can also engage in collection and sale of NTFPs, as well as processing of timber and also processing of NTFPs for the markets, especially at the upstream level. However, many of these opportunities, the youth do not get into it. Why is this the case? It is the case because many of the youth are not ready when these opportunities spring up. So, in order to be better positioned to tap into these opportunities, you need to be ready. Ready by identifying your interests, the area that you want to work in, as well as, having some basic skills. Your skills may be honed later, but at least basic skill. If you are not ready when the opportunity springs up, you'll be left behind. And I bet you say we don't want to leave any of you behind. But if you are not ready when the opportunity beckons, you'll be left behind. So please, let's try as much as possible to harness the two fundamental God-given assets or resources that He has given us. Number one, time. Number two, energy. These two interplay once you have life. And how you turn these two around will determine the opportunities you're able to harness and develop. Time runs for everybody. Whether you work, you don't work, time will run. Your time stops running when you are dead. Once you have life, you have energy. But how do you use the energy? As a youth, it is said that you are the peak of your energy when you are youth. So please, let's see how best we can utilize this energy before we become weak and cannot do so. Specifically for the entry points, we have entrepreneurship, private entrepreneurship. You can decide to embark your own entrepreneurship. Number two, you can also decide to tap into government-led or private-led, enterprises by becoming an employee or engaging in those activities. And specifically, I could give examples under each, but I don't know whether you make another round. Okay, I could add a few. Okay, good. So for the private-led enterprises, you can develop plantation for yourself and the nurseries that I talked about. You can also decide to enter the service sector, especially one of the challenges in the sector is how to do forest monitoring. Gen Zs are very much versed in IT, the use of drone in forest monitoring, AI, and all that. This is lacking in the industry in Africa. So if some of you could tap into it, I guess I'll have another round to expatiate on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doc. I would like to go to Mrs. Ogutuga briefly, because you've been doing a lot of work. You have been doing a lot of work in Nigeria, particularly with the Nigerian Conservation Foundation, where you are usually interfacing with communities, youth groups, and all that. In your experience and expertise, perhaps by virtue of what you do, are there any particular opportunities that you think youth should be taken advantage of in these value chains? And of course, since you're the only woman on this panel, if there are any specific opportunities for women you would want young ladies in this room and those online to take advantage of. Thank you.
Thank you, Albert. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a privilege to be here with us this afternoon. So I would like to say that for entry point into green economy, as we know, there are a lot of opportunities in the green economy space. So we could look at the promising ones as waste recycling. We could look at areas like climate education programs. We could look at renewable energy. All of these highlighted examples are those that I feel that they have high accessibility, they have a low barrier, and then we really do not need large capital to start with. So when we start with these ones, it gives us opportunity to learn and to get as much experience as we can that can help us grow into larger value chains. So those are immediate opportunities that I think we could look at. You could look around you, look at your community, what are the pressing environmental issues. You could start with those, and then eventually you could scale up the project into bigger ones like eco-innovation and some other bigger green opportunities. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Just quickly to Alhaji Inusa. Alhaji, you are from the National Youth Authority, more like the youth hub of Ghana, right? Yeah. So usually what we know is government usually announces youth programs, and they are launched very beautifully in Accra. And implementation usually is seemingly concentrated at the national levels. Are there any specific youth programs that NYA is implementing in the context of the green economy and natural resource value chain that our audience here can take advantage of? And how they can also assess those opportunities from the grassroots level to the national level, so people will not just already start chasing just national level portfolios and opportunities, but rather assessing opportunities from their community level to the district, to the regional levels, and then to the national. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah, thank you so much, and then good afternoon to you all. And then greetings from my CEO from the National Youth Authority. And then we are happy that such a program is taking place in Ghana. since all of you are youth, the National Youth Authority is giving you greetings. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And then I also want to announce to you that last Friday, Ghana has launched its Ghana Youth Federation. This is something that has been in the table for the past 20 years. When we resumed office, we said that Ghana need a federation, which will become an umbrella body to encompass all the youth voices in Ghana. So we launched it, and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of Ghana, and the Minister for Youth and Empowerment. This is the first time in Ghana we have been able to have a minister responsible for youth and empowerment. So that should tell you that Ghana is taking youth issues very seriously, and it is becoming a game changer for the ecosystem with respect to youth activities. When it comes to programs that are being run at the National Youth Authority with respect to the green environment and other aspects of life, I hope my fellow Ghanaians that are here and those who are on the internet have heard what we call the National Apprenticeship Program. This is a 300 million Ghana cedi project that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has developed or has released to the National Youth Authority to be able to empower our youth with respect to how they can become their own and then how they can become sustainable with respect to their own development. And part of the components of that 300 million talks about issues of environment. Technology that young innovators can be able to develop and can be able to bring out job sustainability issues. They can be able to develop something, or they can be able to train other youth to be able to do things that are related to the environment. And this is a program that we have deployed even to the district level. We have given opportunities, and we have even created officers in the districts to be responsible to collate these proposals and to be able to take these apprentices to be able to train them. So this is not a program that we have decided to leverage it at the national level. We launched it in April 2025. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was in Tamale to launch the program. We have even trained the master craftsmen, that was just last 2 weeks, across the 16 regions. And then all these master craftsmen were drafted from the district, 10 from every district in Ghana. And that tells you that out of the 161 districts that we have given 10 slots to every district. So that tells you that this is a program that we have even sent down to the district levels. And we are encouraging young people to take advantage of that and be able to develop themselves when it comes to issues of youth development. So there are so many interventions that we are doing, because everything that you are doing in this world and you don't look at the well-being of the youth, it will fail. Because if the person is not even well, if the person is somebody or population of your youth are into drug addicts, drug abuse and all those kind of things, you have the good systems or good interventions, but they won't be able to take advantage of that. So the National Youth Authority, apart from the entrepreneur and other things that we are doing, we have decided to take the well-being of the youth as one of the cardinal and important issues that we are going to tackle in this 2025 to 2026, especially when it comes to drug abuse and the opium, especially the NREG, is becoming something that is eating up the youth fiber in Ghana. And the Ministry of Youth and the National Youth Authority has taken it very seriously. And I just want to talk to our young leaders that are here. As more as we keep doing things that will help our youth, let's also keep talking to them on how to behave responsible on how for us, all of us, to live a good life so that at the end of the day, the good ideas that we have will not turn out to be something of a waste. Because if you are in a drug idea, you are even intelligent. Instead of doing something that will help, you'd rather be looking at what you use that money to go and get drugs for yourself. So let's, as much as we try to search for the funding, as much as we try to decide to do something innovative, let's also try to see how best we'll educate our youth with respect to some of these issues. Thank you so much.
That's really interesting. A round of applause. Yeah, thank you all very much for these interesting opportunities you have revealed. I would want to stay with you quite a bit, Mr. Alaji. Yes, youth development is really critical, and I love the fact that you harness, you are really focusing on well-being of people. Much to say again, youth development requires collaboration. How is the NYA mainstreaming its programs and building collaborations with institutions, say other government institutions, private sector, development partners, to be able to expand its access and reach, so people who are vulnerable, people who are in hard-to-reach communities, particularly youth, can also benefit from some of these initiatives and interventions? If there are any specific scenarios you can share with us, would be glad.
I think in Ghana, everybody knows the success of the National Youth Authority. Even because of our network and our international network, the current Commonwealth youth leader is from Ghana. Just because of how we were able to leverage on some of our international collaborations with other countries, especially when it comes to Commonwealth.
Okay.
Because it is our responsibility and our duty to make sure that we are able to use this opportunity to be able to put our youth leaders into a very bigger platform. So when we are able to even see a potential among our student politics and among our youth leaders, we are able to nurture them and put them into the platform and able to even put them on international platform. When we were even advocating for that guy to become the Commonwealth, the whole of Commonwealth as a leader, people didn't believe that project. But we entered into that project and we made it successful. Just because of the partnership that we have with other organizations. When it comes to issues of international organization, AGRA, UNICEF, MasterCard, and all of them are our international organizations that we deal with to do issues of when it comes to youth. In respect of other organizations, there is no program. That's why we keep saying the youth are the engine of growth when it comes to nation development, whether you like it or not. That is why we keep saying that when you are a youth or when the youth system is not working, there is no way your country can develop. Because if you take the population of every African country, let's take Ghana for example, when you take age 15 to 35, we are close to 40%. When you stretch it to 40 to 45, we are over 64.8%. So that tells you that more than half of the population of Ghana are youth. So if our voices and what we want don't happen, there is no way. So when you look at every interventions with respect to all the ministries in Ghana, they are all youth-centered. Okay. When you come to Ministry of Local Government, you hear them doing something on youth, especially this year, their SOCO project. It's purely on youth because it's about how this sub-Saharan African, the conflicts that are happening doesn't get the opportunity to get to Ghana. And who are the youth that are involved in conflicts and all those things? Which are the people? It's the youth. So almost chunk of the population and chunk of the budget with respect to the SOCO project in local government is youth. And this is what we do with them to be able to, especially the northern sector, especially communities that share boundaries with Burkina, that shares boundaries with Mali and all those kind of African countries. When it comes to issues of my big boss here, Minister of Land and Natural Resources, all those people who are destroying our land, who are doing other things with respect to how to affect the land, is youth. So definitely they need we to collaborate with them to be able to do the job. When it comes to Ministry of Defense, who are the people they are employing in the military, in the or in their youth? So every ministry needs the National Youth Authority. So at the end of the day, we become the center core of all the ministries, and we are collaborating with them in that aspect. So you'll be there today, you are the Minister of Defense, you are the Minister of Land, today you are here. It's always like that. Because any program that they design ends up to be youth. And you have to be there to be able to give or collaborate. And we have the data. Every registered organization that deals with youth registered with the National Youth Authority. So after collaboration, we are collaborating with even local NGOs. We are dealing with them a lot of, and even there are so many things that we should have even talked, but because of time, we are not even able to bring most of the things that we are doing. So I'm very grateful, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, Alhaji Inusa Mahama. That's really revealing, knowing that you're working with development partners, AGRA, UNICEF, and the likes, and also really emphasizing that when your youth is not functional, there is no way your development agenda is going to succeed. I think that's really, really emphatic. Beyond that, we are now aware of a number of youth opportunities in the green economy and even beyond the green economy. Likewise, opportunities in the natural resource value chain. I think my earlier speakers have revealed a lot of opportunities. The burning thing inside me right now is I kept asking myself if there is that enabling environment that can enable these youth who are interested in entrepreneurship, those who have innovations. Do we have that enabling environment that can allow these innovations to thrive? Not just looking at the case of Ghana, but looking at Africa, West Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, but perhaps using Ghana as case study. What should be in place? What enabling environment should we have to enable these entrepreneurial drives and innovations so they can scale up and reach, have bigger coverage and scale up and make meaningful impact in our societies? I would like to come to Vernon with that quickly. Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you very much. You're coming from the private sector. We always understand the challenges of policy when it comes to youth enablement. I think Alhaji mentioned a lot already about the need for policy that is youth-centered. And I think Albert, you also mentioned the youthfulness of the African population. Actually, you said 42% by 2030,
Yep.
but it's actually going to be 70% by 2050, which means that by 2050, 70% of the African population is going to be youthful, which is a great opportunity.
Yep.
But then it's a huge conundrum as well, because if you don't have policy that is youth-focused, if you don't have financial sector policies and mechanisms that are youth-focused, then you have a challenge. There's been a very huge proliferation of initiatives that sort of are geared towards supporting youths. I can mention a few. In Ghana, for example, there is the Ghana Climate Innovation Center. There's also the Nigeria version of it, as well as the Kenyan version of it. I think it was set up by the World Bank to promote entrepreneurship, especially green entrepreneurship. And of course, there is the Cosmos Innovation Center as well in Ghana, which is actually doing a lot, especially targeting agripreneurs to promote youths in agriculture. I can go on and on about, I think there's also InnoHop as well, doing a lot with MTN, India accelerators and various accelerators that have always been set up, basically focused on entrepreneurship promotion. I mean, it's a great thing when you think about this intentional effort now to support entrepreneurship. I remember at the time I was growing up, I can speak with authority about it. If you left school and said you wanted to be an entrepreneur, they would probably frown at you very badly. They would say, go and get a job, right? But now you see the tables are changing because the jobs are not there. But then you have a gap with respect to meeting certain very important imperatives that have to either meet the national climate goals or the SDGs. Of course, there are actually a lot of actions there, kind of areas where the youth can play a big role. But the question there is, how do you steer youth towards identifying these areas? And I think it's a wonderful thing. I think I've heard of Rwanda already, Togo, and other entities that are actually really pushing, of course, Ghana, Elijah mentioned, the Youth Federation, which is a great thing in terms of putting them under one umbrella.
Yeah.
And if you put them under one umbrella, then it's actually easier to design policy that actually steers them to a particular direction. So I think there is a lot of initiatives now that are targeting youth, especially. If you see most of the grants, they will say you must be between 18 and 35 years old. That is not for a particular reason. It's simply because most of the funders or those who are disbursing the grants have a certain condition that you have to fund only youths. And that's why you see those conditions there, because they have an obligation to be seen to be supporting youth-led action. And so it's always very important to actually find out which organization is doing what that is targeting youth-led action. And then you ask yourself, what can I do? What you can do is literally making sure that you're solving a problem. Not just any fantasy idea or anything, especially in the green economy space. What problem are you actually solving? Can someone pay you for that activity that you're doing? I mean, we have to go beyond advocacy. Advocacy is great, but then it has to come to action. And action means you're actually creating a solution to a problem that someone actually has and can pay for. So all these policies are there, all these incubators and accelerators are all out there. They always put out calls every year. What you can do is identify, I always try to be kind of action-led. What you can do is identify when they have their calls every year, which ones are doing something that is aligned to your space, and then you target them, go and speak to them, wait for the next call, and then you apply and you get in. And that's where you can get help.
Thank you very much, Sundo, for those insightful points. I'll still come back to you to delve a bit deeper on some remarkable things you've done in Ghana's banking sector. But then I would want to go straight to Mrs. Ogutuga. Yeah, because Sundo mentioned about advocacy at a point, and I believe advocacy needs education. And of course, you have been leading environmental education in Nigeria by virtue of the work you do at the Nigerian Conservation Foundation. The key thing is what role does environmental education really play to help youth move from the awareness stage to taking action? And per your work in Nigeria, are there any successful models that can be replicated elsewhere in Africa, in other African countries that we can learn from?
Okay, so thank you. I would like to say that environmental education plays a critical role in moving people from just awareness to action, because this is 2025. It's not just about talking anymore. Rather, people want to see what you are really doing to prove that yes, you are making a change in your space. So I would like to say that we have successful models that can be replicated. We have youth-led initiatives like climate education programs for youth. We have conservation club for the younger children. We have summer camp activities for teenagers and the younger ones. All of this helps us move environmental education, helps us link knowledge with practice. So when we go to higher institutions, when we go to secondary schools, teaching people about climate education. For instance, we could discuss topics like tree planting, and it doesn't just end at theories. After the class, we all move out. Even if it's a single tree, we ensure that we plant. Then for the youth, there are a lot of awareness campaigns when we go to institutions to tell them about climate change and solutions they can profile in their space. It could be campaigns. We organize campaigns regularly. We have summer camp programs, like I said, where we teach people things like sustainable cooking and a whole lot of activities in the green space. So I would say that across Ghana and across Africa, these are successful models that we have put in place that we can replicate across Africa. Thank you.
Interesting, interesting. I think I'll come to you, Sundo, but before that, let me come to Honorable Alhaji Inusa briefly. We know, perhaps our first session talked about unlocking finance, so that means that there are quite some peculiarities when it comes to assessing opportunities in the value chain. And likewise, by virtue of the work you do, you often interface with communities, youth, so you understand what their key challenges are better. Aside seeking finance, how is the NYA also trying to, address these bottlenecks that hinder youthful participation in some of these programs which you earlier mentioned, these youth-oriented programs, entrepreneurship, apprenticeship, and all that? How are you addressing the petty bottlenecks, that the challenges that sort of cripple a lot of youth from benefiting, accessing some of these facilities and programs? Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think one thing is that when you are running an intervention programs, it's always good that you learn from best practices and
Exactly.
you learn from things that has made them to fail. So that when you are carving up new
Programs.
things,
Yeah.
then you need to see how best you'll be able to put some of these things so that at the end of the day, it will be good for all of us. One, we have what we call the National Apprenticeship Program that I've just talked about, whereby we are looking at over 10,000 youth having the opportunity to benefit from that. And then we'll be scaling it up to 100,000 next year. With this kind of intervention, we've realized that when you take a master craftsman, let's say somebody wants to learn makeup, he wants to become a beautician. One, he has the skill to do it. He wants to become a beautician. But definitely, when he goes to the master craftsman to teach him or her, she has to pay. So what do? As National Youth Authority, we've decided that what the apprentices would have paid, we will absorb that fee. So the National Youth Authority have decided that we are going to pay the master craftsmen to train them free of charge. Another intervention that we have put into that program is that maybe the person wants to learn, but how to be able to commute to that place, or how he will be able to go and maybe at the end of the day he will not get food to eat. So we have decided that we are going to add stipends to the apprentices, so that after every week or every month, the National Youth Authority will give you some money. So maybe let's say 300 Ghana cedi to enable you to be able to take care and to be able to feed whilst you are taking the program. And after the program, I'm just putting up this because this is an African program whereby other countries can learn and be able to put up such programs, and then it will work successful. Because we keep on, because we have realized that we have rolled out so many programs, like the Let's Dep, other programs, which if other stakeholders, partners will realize, we roll out all of them, and at the end of the day, we couldn't succeed because you put the money out there, and at the end of the day, the youth come out and they're not able to learn the job when you ask, if I go to the job tomorrow, I don't know what I'll eat. So I better go to the streets and hustle. Then 2 days, I'll come back. We don't want that again. We'll pay you, go learn. All the food and everything that you would have gone to search for, we'll give you money. Yours is to concentrate. If it is 6 months, we'll pay you 6 months. You concentrate, we'll pay your master, we'll do everything. And at the end of the day, we will set you up. All the tools that you need to become your own, the National Youth Authority will provide it for you to become a master of your own. And that is what we are doing. Apart from that, there's another program that we call the Ijumawura program, which is the government have decided to roll up 100 million Ghana cedi. For that program, the government is saying that, come, show us the technology, show us the entrepreneurship that you will have. We are ready to give you and fund it. And this one, we are looking at 2,000 youth for this year. And the money is there, sitting down. So we have already, and this is an incubation program that we have rolled out. And this is happening in all the 16 regions. We have already started interviewing young entrepreneurs. They come, we give you the opportunity, you defend your proposal, you tell us what you can do, and then we select the best and we fund it and give you the money to go and do your whatever you are going to do. So these are things that we want to change the narrative of the way things used to happen. And these are monies that international organizations are ready to partner. As I'm telling you, MasterCard is in touch with us, UNICEF, UNDP, AGRA. They are all seeing this and are saying, wow, this is a big project. This is something that we have been thinking, and this is something that we were expecting government to do. Since you have taken the lead, we'll bring our money and make sure that it's successful. So I can tell you, my brothers in Nigeria, Ethiopia, wherever, this is a thinking. Put it up to action. And I bet you, the international organization will be chasing you to bring their money for you to be able to implement that. Thank you. Whenever you have the government sitting in, they feel comfortable to deal with government to government. And it is very helpful. Always pitch your project with the youth authority in your locality to give you the backing and to let them know that you are a registered organization in them, you are one of them, and they are ready to guarantee you to be able to do that project. And I can tell you, they'll be ready to put their money into whatever you are going to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Inusa, for those deep insights. In fact, I see a lot of my audience clapping, and that means that you have really given them some heartwarming punchlines that they are taking home and going to replicate in their various countries. Before I come to you, Sondo, I would want to quickly go to Dr. Appa. Doc, you are in the forestry sector, and usually, very, very, very particularly, wood waste is something most people don't cherish. But in some spheres, we know people are really cashing in big time with wood waste and other products. In fact, the barks of trees, using those for medicinal purposes, trying to go into spices, cultivating spices in forest areas, forest range communities, and all that. And we also know you have a facility in Kumasi, the Forestry Commission Training Center, that provides some support to artisans, people who want to use wood and wood waste to make money, create green businesses out of that. How is the Forestry Commission mainstreaming its activities to provide support to those entrepreneurs or innovators through training and any other capacity building and any other thing we do not really know? Can you please tell us a few things?
Thank you very much, Albert. Good to come back on the mic again. As I explained earlier, if you invest in forestry industry, you are better off. And that's what I want the youth to catch now. It's a low-hanging fruit. Please tap into it. Let me specifically address the question of waste. It's a resource, not a waste. Yes. Yes. And so this resource, that is the product of getting your main wood, is still usable and has value in there. It can be used in charcoal production, that activated charcoal production. You add glue and other components, to mold it. Yes, so it's good for energy. It can be used to make chipboards and other things, so many. So people are actually going into that venture. Let me also talk about the FCTC, as you rightly mentioned, the Forestry Commission Training Center in Kumasi. This is a strategic institution that has been set up by the Forestry Commission to make sure that it interfaces with the industry and train them in timber processing. Especially in today, as we have it, many of the large diameter logs have been harvested from the natural forest. And so what is actually coming out now is mostly planted timber. And so those are lower diameter logs that we're talking of. So many of the industry that we had in the past, they cannot tap into this new opportunity that is coming. They have to retool their system in order to be able to process the small diameter logs. So that's what the FCTC does. It's range managers, certificates will be given to them. So if you are interested, next year, try to enroll. That aside, let me still delve into other opportunities that I can talk about. As you rightly said, those that you may not know. At the Forestry Commission, we are trying to partner with individuals, companies, and other entities. What we have realized is that the government alone cannot develop the degraded forest areas. We need to enter into partnership with people like you. So we have different models. So I'll first of all talk about seedling production as an enterprise. You can decide to do that alone and supply to Forestry Commission to buy from you. Or you can also supply to other agencies like Cocoa Board, because they integrate trees in their farming systems. The next one is what we call the modified Tonja system. It's a strategic partnership by the Forestry Commission with local communities that live close to the forest reserve. Many of them are farmers, and access to land is very difficult. So we give them degraded areas, although degraded, but it's very fertile. And so they are able to plant trees for the Forestry Commission and also integrate food crops. When they harvest the food crops, it's free for them. And at the same time, there's a sharing ratio for the tree component if the trees are harvested. The Forestry Commission take 40% on behalf of the government. Then the farmers take 40% as well. Then 15% goes to the landowners. In Ghana, the land tenure system is such that most of the forest areas, they belong to the stew or the chiefs. But they are vested lands in the government per our constitution. So we give them 15%, and 5% goes to the communities that live around, as more or less like SRA, Social Responsibility Agreement, to ensure that the investment in the reserve is safeguarded. It helps you in the protection and all that. That aside, you can also enter under two categories. The first category is public-private partnership category 1, which entails you as an investor coming. We will give you a forest area. The minimum area is 120 hectares, which is very big. If you want the acreage, you multiply it by 2.5 to get the acres. So we call it compartment. When you give you this compartment, you're going to plant with trees and can also add food crops. Then there's a sharing ratio. You, the investor, you take 90%. The Forestry Commission takes 2%. 6% goes to the landowner, and another 2% goes to the communities. Then the other one, which is category 2, which is commercial in nature, the investor takes 80%. The Forestry Commission takes 12%. Then the 6% goes to the landowners, then 2% also go to the communities. Okay, if I could make this last point in connection with what Alaji said. You were asking him about some of the collaborations with the institutions. They are collaborating with the Forestry Commission. We've implemented the Youth in Afforestation Reforestation Program, the YAP, and currently under the leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, his initiative, which is called the Youth Forest Champions, is currently running. And over 2,500 youth in Ghana have been engaged. I think this is good news. And they are really working hard to restore our degraded forest. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those interesting revelations. I'll be coming to you, my audience, very briefly to take your comments, feedback, and questions. But just before that, I'd like to learn from Benan Sondo, who is the director for Center Free. Vedan, you have played a key role in Ghana's Sustainable Banking Principle and Circular Economy Action Plan. And that really led to some remarkable outcomes, particularly in Ghana. Also, you are working around marine pollution, trying to convert or turn marine pollution into sustainable green jobs and businesses. From your experience, how do you think that entrepreneurs, innovators can translate some of these high-level frameworks into impactful and actionable, meaningful projects that can support our environment, conserve our environment, and promote our climate agenda? Thank you.
I will sort of explain what the Sustainable Banking Principles is. It's basically a set of actions that all the banks have to implement basically to integrate environmental and social governance into their lending decisions and operations. And you would think it's very high level. It's basically a roadmap that each bank has to implement. And the Circular Economy Action Plan was basically Ghana's vision across 5 sectors in terms of how they can integrate the circular economy across business as usual operations. Generally, these frameworks are roadmaps and very high level. But the opportunities, something when we talk about it, probably if we have enough time, can do a deep dive into that. The opportunities are generally in how these frameworks are operationalized. What are the gaps that are there that need to be operationalized? Take the Sustainable Banking Principles, for example. The bank has to comply with, say, for example, ESG data. SMEs don't have ESG data because they don't have it. But the gap there is assisting SMEs to aggregate and document their ESG activities. What you are doing there, you are literally playing yourself as a policy enabler because you are solving a problem that the bank cannot solve, and you put yourself as an intermediary helping SMEs to aggregate their ESG data. Being a policy enabler by making sure that the bank can now have reporting metrics, which is literally actionable data that they get from the SMEs that they fund. So you would think most of you go to COP, I think there's COP 30 coming up in Brazil, for example. You would think, why it's so high level? What are the opportunities? But if you look deep down, each of your countries have the so-called nationally determined contributions. I think you all know about that. But then you ask yourself, how can I implement it? You have to go down and ask yourself, what are the priority sectors in the NDCs, because the NDCs are literally a set of activities that are supposed to lead to reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. So you have to look across those sectors and figure out which one is actually aligned with a problem that I have identified in my community, right? And how you can actually tap into it. And then, of course, the carbon credit. You say carbon credit is so complicated, I've heard it before. But yes, it's complicated for one reason, because someone is actually paying for data that must be verifiable, right? And so you have to put in place systems that are verifiable. Across the marine space, we have a project called Project Net Cycle. And what we do there is we literally harness waste fish nets from fishing communities, and we export it to Europe. You would ask me, why do we do that? What is the outcome? I will show you one perfect example. This is a sunshade made from waste fish nets.
Interesting.
Right.
I thought you were going to clap to that. Yeah.
It is a sunshade made from waste fish nets, and someone in Europe would be willing to pay 150 euros for this. Why? Because this is verifiable proof that he is removing plastics from somewhere in the world. Exactly. Right? And so what I'm trying to say is you need to figure out where is the missing link in the value chain, and how can you design a project that actually plugs into that gap. It could either be across carbon credits, plastic credits, SDGs, or whatever. But the key issue is, how do you position yourself? Where in the value chain are you? In the value chain, there's always a missing link. And it's always important to find that missing link.
Absolutely.
And try to be part of it. And that is how youth-led action can actually play themselves into positions that no one actually plays in, and then become valuable. Because then you can get funded by the National Youth Authority, right? Then you can get even funded by the private sector, who actually are keen on implementing solutions like this. I met a couple of youths once. This was at Accra Mall, I think. Those who know Accra Mall, one of the big malls here. And they came to me and said they are doing a fundraising for a project. So I asked them, what's the project? So they described the project. I told them, look, I don't have any money on me. I generally go cashless. I mean, Ransford, no. I use Momo and everything and cards. I said, I don't have money for you, but I have an idea for you. You work with youths, right? They said, yes. And in what areas? They mentioned the areas. I said, do you know if you go to a bank and tell the bank that you're actually empowering SMEs to be financially literate, they can actually partner with you because you have access to the youth. They don't have access to the youth. But if you prove yourself as an enabler in terms of the person who is actually standing between the missing link between the corporates and the youths, then of course they find you valuable. Because it's all about partnerships, right? And that is why we don't necessarily like partnerships in this part of the world, because of course all of us want to be CEOs. You want to be seen as the person who has done it. But ever so often it's not about the glory. It's about the impact that will take you further. So always find the missing link and don't focus on the glory. Focus on the job you are doing, focus on the impact. Because you are only recognizable by a tangible impact. Something that someone actually had as a problem that you've been able to solve by just being there and being that missing link in the gap. Thanks.
Thank you very much. That's really interesting. Please, a bigger round of applause for them all. Yeah, indeed, find the missing link, build a sustainable business or green job around it, and make the impact. Don't forget, do not focus on the glory. Thank you very much, distinguished guests. Mrs. Ugutuga Venansondo, Alaji Inusa, and Dr. Appa. Thank you very much. At this point, I would like to engage my audience. I've been told my audience are beaming with questions, lessons, feedbacks. So perhaps, due to time, we would want to take 2 or 3 questions. Please hand up if you, okay, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So we'll take all the questions all together, and our panelists would respond to them. You could also direct the questions to any of the panelists you would want to respond to.
Very much.
Please, sorry, just a moment. Please bear with us. The questions should be very brief and straight to point. Very brief and straight to point. Thank you.
Yeah, very brief, but I have questions for all your panelists. But very brief, very brief. So I'll start with Mr. Sondo. We're talking about advocacy, and we are saying, sorry, my name is Success Soa, and I'm with Nature Steward. Because of time, I forgot to mention my name. So, Mr. Sondo, in the spirit of advocacy, we are saying that we should do less of the talking now and do more action. And I'm asking, is the advocacy enough? Especially, let's take the Ghanaian scenario. I'm asking, let's move our minds away from Accra. Is advocacy really enough throughout the country for us to stop at this point and move into action? And that would lead me to the next question. I would direct that one to Alhaji. I'm asking again, is advocacy enough in terms of funds, okay, to do actionable projects? In the wake of shrinking donor funds from foreign agencies, and knowing that the ones we even have in Ghana are not really enough to cover all the youth that are interested in entrepreneurial projects, should youth shift their focus from green entrepreneurship into other areas, given the fact that funding is not enough? This is are my questions clear? Or I should take them in? Okay.
Yes, we would. Sorry.
Quickly, let me go to Madam.
Yes, excuse me. I'll come back to you.
Okay.
In the spirit of inclusivity, let's take 2 and go to others. When we have time, we'll still come back to you. Please bear with us. Sorry, please bear with us. Thank you very much. Yes, my lady in the middle.
All right, thank you for the opportunity. So, my first question, talking about the National Apprenticeship Program. You've mentioned that 300 million Ghana cedis. And for the past 3 years, I've been in the northern region, Tamale, precisely Nyankpala. And I would want to ask that how much has been allocated to the north? You've mentioned that these things are in the north, and oftentimes we see implementation in Accra. If anything is being launched, Accra, this Accra, this Accra. And even if it happens in the north, oftentimes, after a period of 3 to 6 months, it evades. So how are we making sure that, or what is the assurance that this will be a continuous work? My second question is, oftentimes these opportunities that are being mentioned, there's no doubt that they exist. However, when they are opened, the people who would have access to the links are the ones who are closer to the, excuse me to say, the national cake. It stays within a range, and before someone who is in a local community is going to get access to HTTPS // and whatever continuous and the letters in the alphabet, that's going to sum up to the link to the form for the person to even fill, for even them to tell me that, sorry, you have not even been accepted. It's not even accessed. And so often, the link stays within a particular vicinity. So how are we making sure that the links to these portals and opportunities that you create are accessed by all? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We take the last one. I think I saw a hand on my phone. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity given. My name is Alhas Haramia from Northeast region of Ghana, Northeast, Gambaga precisely. Okay. My question goes to Mr. Albert. I think when you observe the northern part of Ghana, we have these economic trees which helps our mothers in several ways. But as we speak currently, there is a cutting down of trees, which considerable, our people don't consider these economic trees. They cut them off without replanting them. And you working at the Forestry Commission, what are the suggestions or the things that you are putting into place to stop cutting down of these economic trees and replant back these trees? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Please permit us to address these few questions first, and if time permits us, we can come back to your questions. We'll start off with Sondo. The question on advocacy, whether advocacy is enough to fund projects or we should shift. Then we come to Alhaji Inusa on the apprenticeship program, how you are bridging the digital divide gap, the digital gap, how you are bridging it to expand access and make it more inclusive. And then we come to Dr. Appa. What strategies are there to, address the cutting down of economic tree species? Thank you very much, Sondo.
Well, I think the two questions actually answered her question, right? About whether advocacy is actually enough.
I thought as much.
That literally speaks to the importance of advocacy. If you are involved in advocacy, what sort of advocacy are you actually involved in? Are you actually addressing a problem that the Forestry Commission is facing in terms of educating people about the economic value of the trees? Or are you actually active in an area which is propagating information from the National Youth Authority about a particular initiative, right? Advocacy is great, but advocacy has become like a talk shop. We feel like we have to talk. I know Ransford is laughing because we have this, he's a climate youth activist. So I'm always telling him that, look, we need to move away from advocacy. Advocacy is great. We need advocacy. It's very important. But it needs to be action-enabled. Yeah. It needs to be action-enabled and linked to very clear opportunities and levers that actually move you from A to B. Whether it's climate advocacy or youth and gender issues or environmental protection. And it is important, but it is only tangible when it's actually action-enabled. Otherwise, it just becomes a paralysis. It doesn't lead us anywhere.
Thank you very much. Mr. Inusa, Honorable.
Thank you so much. I think your question was with respect to the entrepreneurship.
Yes, exactly.
No, you are talking about a funding. Whether because of most of the UN USAID and other fundings are no more coming up. How are we going to be able to fund some of the programs? I have been a lecturer for the past 12 years at the university, and then I was very young, and then I started lecturing. I've been advocating. I'm not somebody who is much interested in that kind of funding when it comes to issues of Africa. And we always relying on foreign aid with respect to our own development. I always believe in putting up a lot of ingenuity, a lot of indigenous things that at the end of the day, it becomes sustainable. Because if you keep getting funding, foreign aid and other aspects with respect to interventions that you are doing, if you don't take time, when they pull out, then you feel the impact. That is why in all this design that we did, we never kept foreign funding into it. When I came to National Youth Authority, I and my boss, lawyer Usman Ayarga, we have always advocated for government to be able to fund most of the bigger projects that we are doing with respect to youth intervention. If the donor comes to add up, it becomes a supplement. That is why the National Apprenticeship Program, government have devoted 300 million. That is full budget for the year. And all is because of how you sell it and how you are able to let the government and the president to own the intervention and let it feel like it is a youth-centered and it is one of the issues that he raised. It's just like, I don't want to enter into politics, but I have to put it there. For example, I have been a youth leader of this current political party for 12 good years. In designing the campaign of the president, we made sure that we kept some of these things for him to make advocacy and talked about it, that when he becomes president, this is what he's going to do for the youth of Ghana. So it's all about the advocacy that you were talking about. If you're able to pitch into your government to be able to put out this, he becomes committed to it. So you realize that the National Apprenticeship Program, it is something that the government is committed, and he himself committed to it, government is committed, and he has been able to give funding with respect to that. Donor organization only brings their money into addition for expansion. Our target is 110,000 for this year. The budget is 300 million. Government have agreed to give us that 300 million. So if MasterCard sees the projects and feel like, I want to partner with you, I can also be able to do 5,000, then you add up. So with respect to funding from other organizations, our budget or our intervention with respect to these projects are not based on donor funding. It was based on indigenous funding from the government, central bank government, and that is how we designed the program. And then my sister from the north, who talked about
the sustainability and how much is committed to the program.
To the program. I want to tell you, this program is not a centered program in the capital or Accra. If you will see the data, it is a poverty-driven initiative. And we all know where the poverty-driven regions are. So if you look at northern region, you look at northeast, Savannah, Ahafo, and all those areas, they have the chunk numbers of people that are into this national apprenticeship program. This program was intentionally launched in northern region by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for our own people to have the opportunity to feel ownership of this program. And then with respect to selection, we made sure it was purely unbiased. One, what did we do? We created an online portal whereby every young person can apply. Secondly, we realized that it's not every young person that can read and write, but they have the ability to be able to become an entrepreneur, become a master of his own. We printed the forms and submitted over 200 forms in every district. Every district in Ghana was given over 200 forms for the youth to have the opportunity to go and pick and fill. After that,
okay.
we made an...
Sorry, yeah.
I'm just coming. After that, we made an intervention for the people with disability. Because we have realized that if you don't cater for them, they become lost in the system.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, 10% or 5% was allocated for people with disability, and then all of them have been captured into the data. So with respect to funding and other things, and I can tell my sister, it is a project that is going to happen, and the president is even increasing it to 100,000 next year.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We would have the last one with Dr. Appa, where my colleague asked how you are addressing issues of the cutting down of economic tree species up north. Yeah. Are there any strategies? Are there any programs also to support, restoration, just let and all that?
Okay, thank you very much, Albert. My brother from the north, thank you for the observation. It's a trend that we need to reverse. The ecosystem or the landscape in the northern part of Ghana is very vulnerable, as we all know, compared to down south. What the Forestry Commission does is that we discourage tree cutting that is irresponsible and not permitted. But then you see people on the blind side of the commission perpetrating some of this illegality, advocacy for people to, embrace good behavior, sustainable practices within the landscape. On top of that, we've zoned Ghana more or less into two. Down south, we're running the Cocoa Forest Red Plus program. We basically know the functions of trees when it comes to their role they play as carbon sinks to absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. They fix the carbon in their system. This is what we call emission reduction using carbon sequestration. There are also avoided ways that we embark on. So, if you go to up north specifically, we are running the program which is called Ghana Share Landscape Emission Reductions Program. So, under this program, you see the commodity that we are working around is the share. Because almost every meter you see share, trees. And under this program, we are training them, empowering them, giving them alternative livelihood enterprises, and better ways to meet their energy needs, and not relying on the cutting down of share trees for charcoal production. Additionally, what we do under the program is that we are restoring the degraded areas. I was at the Gambaga area. I know you know there very well since you said you're from the northeast. Wale Wale, Nareligu, all those areas. So I went to monitor the progress of the tree restoration programs and stop tree cutting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause to all our panelists. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, we are unable to take more questions. I believe the MCs would give us guidance on how we can communicate questions we have, so panelists can later perhaps respond to them in writing if that is possible. Please bear with us. Sincere apologies. I want to respectfully thank you again, but before you go, your final words, perhaps in 1 minute, if all four of us can do it in 1 minute. What really would you want youth who have participated in today's event, this session, take away from you? What one thing? Of course, Mrs. Ogutuga, you've been given a lot of small grants and all that. What key lesson would you want your audience to look out for when they are applying for these funds? And and likewise, we come to Sondo with last words, and Mr. Inusa and Dr. Apa. Thank you.
Okay, so I would say when applying for small or medium-sized grants, there are specific things that we should take note of in our proposals. I'm sure the previous panel discussion addressed it. I would like to say that our proposals should communicate impact. Funders like looking at impact and not just ideas. And then another thing is your proposals should highlight sustainability. No founder would like to roll out grants for a one-off project. So while writing, you should also include your sustainability plan. And then you have to be as realistic as possible. It doesn't matter how large the proposed project is, even if it's a small-scale thing. So far, you can highlight sustainability plans and put in place the impact that that founders should look out for. I think such proposals will fly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sondo, what will be your key lesson for our audience? Yeah.
I would focus on 4 things. You need to literally figure out what you need to do, what problem you're solving, but then always try to start small. Start very small. Make sure you're solving a problem. Don't worry about going around calling yourself CEO. Just go down to the trenches, do the job, solve a problem. Leverage partnerships. Partnerships are very critical. Someone needs something from you. You are very valuable, you are very important. Remember that. They also need you to succeed. And think digitally, because there's a huge gap, especially in the sustainability space, with respect to data, ESG data. How can you become a sustainability consultant? How can you help someone solve a waste problem? How can you implement ESMS, environmental and social management systems? How can you manage carbon footprints, waste, and all that? Those are skills that are very important for youth of tomorrow, because there you play yourself into being a very important person and also monetize impact. Who is paying for what? Where is the financial hook in the policy that would actually give you money for doing it? For those youths in other African countries, we're actually looking for partners in other countries, because next cycle is going to Africa. We're looking for partners in Togo, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Tanzania, Kenya. We're looking for partners who can work with us, because what we do is we bridge the gap between the local market and international players who need the material. So if any of you are interested, of course, get in touch with us and we'll figure out how to work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Venan Sondo. Alaji Inusa Mahama, what do you want your audience to take away?
I just have 3 things.
Thank you.
Youth. And then our next slogan. I just have slogan for you. When I say youth, you say power. Because we are those that can make power in every country.
Absolutely.
And then when I say power, you say action.
Yeah.
And when I say action, you say now. We want it now. Okay?
Yeah.
Youth.
Power.
Youth.
Power.
Youth.
Power.
Power.
Action.
Power.
Action.
Action.
Now.
Thank
No.
you so much.
Thank you very much. Dr. Alpa. Really interesting.
Okay, so on that note, the highlight for me that I want people to take away
Exactly.
is that being a youth, you need to make sure the peak of your energy is channeled very well and tap into the opportunities. I don't want anybody to regret some years to come looking back, I should have done this or that. Once you've heard the news now, please start working on it. You may start very small and grow big. And I want to say that all the opportunities highlighted here, if it's not happening in your country, please, as you go, start the awareness creation and you may gain traction. God bless us all.
Thank you very much. On this note, we bring this session to an end. I want to especially thank my panelist, Mrs. Ogutuga. Thank you very much for your insightful remarks and contributions. Likewise, Mr. Venan Sondo, thank you very much, and also for the remarkable work and insight you shared with our audience today. Honorable Alaji Inusa Mahama, the Youth Hub, the commander of the Youth Hub, thank you very much for sharing insights with us. Likewise, Dr. Appa from the Forestry Commission, we are really grateful for your interesting contributions to these discussions. Thank you very much. I think we'll take a group photo before, yes, thank you. And for you, our audience, thank you very much for sticking and staying, listening through every conversation. Please, a round of applause for yourselves. Yes, you did so well.
Can we give them an AYC clap? One more time. One more time. One more time. Youth. Youth. Power. Action. Awesome, awesome. Let's put our hands together for ourselves. Youth are the engine of growth, and we have successfully come to the closing of the opening. Like I said, mine is grammar, and I'm a wordsmith, so I'm sure by now you should be understanding what the opening is. The opening is the opening ceremony of AYC, but just some few things for us to note. We have exhibition stands available in the garden. Canopies already set up for us to view practical green solutions spearheaded by young people, and so you want to pass by. And then window shop and hand shop as well. I mean, purchase something for them. It's going to be there for the rest of the conference, so please, let's do well to pass by today, tomorrow, and also on Saturday. To our cherished online participants, we hope to meet you on our live stream, continuing from Friday and Saturday, and we'll be glad that you stick and stay throughout the rest of the conference. Also, tomorrow will be the second day of AYC, and it's going to be power-packed. It's going to be a power-packed day, and you want to be an active participant in it. And thus, we would encourage you to scan the QR code on your tag, because on that QR code, you will find out that there are instructions to you participating actively in the conference, where you can drop a guest code or a message and also upload your photo just to register your memory for AYC 2025. I am sure that by tomorrow, we will be sharing our AYC t-shirts, so you snooze. That means that if you come late and you have nothing, you snoozed. So please, let's be here on time. The session starts at 9, and so we ought to be here on time. The last of it all is that at this juncture, to compensate all of us for maybe little delays, a few stepping of toes, we have some snacks for us, for you to snack on. Did I hear yay? Aha, good. Some finger foods for us to snack on, to also ensure that we keep the conversation going and keep the momentum. So on that note, I was told that we started without a prayer. So forgive us, but we will close with a prayer. And the prayer is this simple: we thank you, Lord God, for making this a success. Can we put our hands together for the closing of the opening of AYC 2025? God bless you, and see you tomorrow, God willing. Bye.